like to call the April 29th, 2001 Miamisburg City School Board meeting to order. Let's stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Real people out there tonight.
Yeah. Okay, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Amsler,
Here.
Mrs. Angel,
Here.
Mrs. Neese,
Here.
Mr. Lewis,
Here.
Mr. Toadvine,
Present.
Dr. Blessing.
Present.
I'm present. Mr. Homan.
Here.
Next, our adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move for the adoption of the agenda.
Second.
First by Amsler, second by Lewis. Roll call?
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes. Right, next we have the approval of minutes. The recommended action is to approve the minutes for the regular board meeting held on March 18th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll move for the approval of the minutes from April 29th, 2021.
Second. Okay, first by Lewis and second by Angel. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Next, we'll go on to the approval of the financial report dated March 31st, 2021. It's recommended that we approve that financial report dated on March 31st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the financial report.
Second.
First by Angel, second by Toadvine. Any discussion, comments, or questions?
Where are we?
Well, actually, we're running a little bit over on revenue projections, which is good. It's always good to have more revenue than you thought, but we are still waiting on our final settlement on real estate taxes. So once we get that, that's been a little delayed this year. And we're running a little under on our expenses, so that's always a good thing as well. So I'm going to keep monitoring that. As you know, we've got to update the forecast for May, so we'll see what adjustments need to be made, but nothing too frightening at this point. I think we've had enough roller coaster rides for a while, so we're doing pretty good compared to where we thought we were going to be, so we're doing well.
That's great to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, roll call.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
I wanted to ask a question.
Oh,
I'm
If That's
sorry.
okay. On the, how's the money coming as far as the county taxes? Are we still like a month or two behind on that?
Yes, we usually have our final settlement in the month of April, or, late March, early April. We don't have them yet. So I did reach out to the Montgomery County Auditor's Office, and they said possibly May 3rd, but no sooner than that. So we are running a little behind. We haven't gotten all that information.
Okay, but we got a pretty good idea that with the new appraisals and stuff that we should be setting pretty.
Without
Okay, I
the
think-
final statement, I don't know what our delinquencies look like, but I think we're okay. Yeah, I
good.
think so.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so go with the roll call.
Okay, Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes. Sorry, Mr. Toadvine.
All right.
Okay, next we go on to the recognition of our citizens, staff, and students. And first we have Jim Rowan here from the OASBO. He's the executive director, and he has I believe he's going to give one of these out tonight. So, Michelle could not be here.
Good evening, President Neese, members of the board. Thanks for having me this evening. It's my honor to be here to make a couple presentations. Just a little bit about OASBO. OASBO is a professional organization headquartered in Westerville, Ohio, and we represent school treasurers, business managers, transportation supervisors, and food service directors statewide. We have just over 1,500 members, and our main focus is to provide advocacy, collaboration, and innovative education for our members. And one thing that we love to do every year is to recognize our members for a job well done. So we have a scholarship program and an awards program through our foundation. And it's my honor tonight to present 2 awards. One from last year with Mr. Gilbert. We would have actually presented this to him at the OSBA Capital Conference had we been in person. So I would just like to present this to Scott and talk a little bit about him. Scott is an instrumental member of our Business Operations Advisory Committee, and he's going to become the chair on July 1st. And one of the things that we do is we develop curriculum to help business managers throughout the state, and we'll be developing a brand new curricular course this next year that will help assist business managers in identifying best practices in the facility area. And I'd just like to read one quote of many that was submitted on Mr. Gilbert's nomination. It came from David Vale, superintendent. When people say someone works 24/7, 365, they would have to step up their game to emulate the time and effort that Scott puts into his job. He oversees so many facets of our operation: custodial, maintenance, nutrition, transportation, buildings and grounds, and security, which still does not cover all that he provides for us. And that's a statement from your superintendent. In addition to this nice award that he can display on his desk, we will be issuing a scholarship to the district scholarship fund to go to a graduating senior. If that hasn't already happened, it may have happened last year, actually. Okay, great. So congratulations. And then I also have the honor of presenting Michelle Reed her award for Transportation Director of the Year for this year. And we will be having an award ceremony on June the 15th, for which Mr. Gilbert and Miss Reed will be invited to receive that award. And it's really our honor to be able to recognize her. If I may, real quick, I'd like to read a quote that Mr. Gilbert had submitted. Michelle is very respected by the board, central office staff, district administrators, her direct reports, and peers. As her direct supervisor, I can always depend on Michelle to make quality and prioritized decisions which focus on serving our students and staff in a positive manner. And while she's not here to accept this evening, please send my greatest gratitude. And thank you for giving me just a few minutes tonight.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
Well, congratulations, Scott and Michelle. Next, we go on to our March District Student of the Month, and that's Chandler Hoskins, and I believe Mr. from Miamisburg High School, and I think Mr. Amsler is going to talk a little bit about him first.
Bring her down. Bring her down.
Yeah, come on, Chandler. Yes, that's okay.
You don't have to look at me. You can turn around if you want. But I will say, I'm going to read something else first, because I think it goes in line with what I'm going to read about you. So, Max Preps rankings placed Miamisburg girls softball team as the #1 ranked team in the state of Ohio on April 28th. The Ohio High School Coaches Poll ranked the team as #3, and the team currently has a record of 17-0. I read that because Miamisburg City School District March Student of the Month is Miamisburg High School student Chandler Hoskins. She was nominated by her teacher, Tony Ross. This young lady is a sophomore and has gone above and beyond in all of her classwork. She is willing to help and assist anyone in class without being asked. That is a hard trait to have, learn, and she earns classmates' trust and is not afraid to reach out. She has done this all on her own. Chandler really stands out on a positive way and represents others. She works hard on the softball diamond as well. Her hard work has paid off last year and earned her a starting position as a freshman on the softball team. Chandler will always be first to say good morning and hi, and I feel she has definitely earned a recommendation for Student of the Month. So with that being said, congratulations. That's both is quite an honor. All right. Congratulations.
Chandler, I think we have a medallion for you in here. There it is. You want to tell us who that your fan club over there? That's my grandpa, that's Kevin, with my mom, Dayton. Well, thank you all for coming and sharing Chandler with us. This is a great honor for you. I can tell in your eyes. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Hey Chandler, when you get a little bit older, I'll tell you some stories about your mom and my daughter, okay?
All right. Next, we have Representative Tom Young, and he has an award to give out tonight.
As always, thank you very much for having me this evening and allowing me to celebrate with you. One of the things that I wanted to do after I got elected was to start recognizing people in my district and of course my hometown as well. So I get very excited when I hear these great things happening. It's very, very important, especially when you spend time in Columbus, and sometimes it's always gray. So I'd like to say congratulations, Chandler. She may have left already. And Mr. Gilbert, congratulations. The scholarship following that is so important for students. And hopefully I'll get to be able to see Michelle Reed. That's pretty awesome. Tonight I'm here to do another celebration. It's in honor of a Miamisburg student, Leanne Johnson. Ms. Johnson was recently awarded the Youth Service Award, which was established by the Dayton La Sertoma Club. The program recognizes students from area high schools for their dedication and volunteerism to school and their community. La Sertoma International was founded in 1934 with the vision and inspiration to organize a service club. From the very beginning, the organization has made a steady growth and has proved to be valuable in each community it is served. The name La Sertoma International was adopted for the purpose of promoting friendship, fellowship, and extension among its members to aid, assist, support, and sponsor education and philanthropic enterprise and endeavors. This is a great honor, and I'd like to be able to read the proclamation to you. On behalf of the members of the House of Representatives of the 134th General Assembly of Ohio, we are pleased to pay tribute to Leanne Johnson on receiving the 2021 Youth Service Award from the Dayton La Sertoma Club. You have proven yourself to be a dynamic advocate of socially responsible change, and your volunteer efforts have made a noticeable and commendable difference throughout the area. An exceptional ambassador for the Miamisburg High School, you have demonstrated unparalleled initiative to better the community, and you are an example of how one person's contributions can encourage progress in the world around us. Time and again, you have warranted the admiration and esteem of all who know you. Your altruism and commitment to excellence have made a lasting impression throughout the whole of Dayton. By remaining responsive to the needs of your fellow citizens, you have assumed an important role in society and have established a standard that others can follow to help the state of Ohio advance their quality of life for future generations. Thus, it is with pride that we applaud you on your recent accolade and look with optimism to your bright, promising future. Robert R. Cupp, Speaker of the House, and Tom Young, 42nd House District. She doesn't want to say anything, but thank you for the time, and we have special students and faculty here, and I really appreciate your opportunity to come.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Lee. Yeah.
That's a good idea. You've done this before.
That's very awesome. Next, we'll go on to Staff Appreciation Week. It is recommended that the Board of Education recognize the week of May 2nd through the 8th, 2021, as Staff Appreciation Week with the following proclamation. Whereas the entire Miamisburg City School staff makes our schools an excellent place for students to learn, and whereas the Miamisburg staff works to open students' minds to ideas, knowledge, and dreams, and whereas the Miamisburg staff fills many roles as listeners, role models, motivators, and mentors, and whereas the Miamisburg staff continues to influence students in their future endeavors long after graduation, and therefore be it resolved that the Miamisburg Board of Education hereby proclaims the week of May 2nd through May 8th, 2021 as Staff Appreciation Week. This year we certainly appreciate you more than ever. It's been a tough year and you all have hung in there and we truly appreciate it. Does anybody else want to say anything?
I
Just a big thank you to
appreciate
everybody.
all of the hard work that all of the staff members have put in this year, because it's been a year like no other, and let's hope we don't have to repeat this again. So thank you for all of your hard work.
And then we also have Bus Driver Appreciation Day. Monday, May 3rd, 2021 is Ohio School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. The Office of People Transportation would like to say thank you to all Ohio school bus drivers for all that you do every day for Ohio students and families. Particularly now, it is so very important that families are able to count on you to get their children to and from school safely and on time each and every day. By ensuring this, you are doing more than continuing the tradition of professionalism and excellence that has distinguished our profession over the years. You are providing a much-needed element of consistency and security at a time when many families face challenges and uncertainty. This year, bus drivers have met new and added responsibilities associated with pandemic safety, not the least of which is the never-ending effort to ensure buses are safe and clean for students. We know that a great many drivers have been called upon to do so much more, and that you have stepped up in many ways without for a moment compromising the safety and well-being of our children. For every parent who smiles and waves to you each morning and afternoon, there are unseen dozens more who appreciate and count on you every day. We join them in extending our sincere gratitude and our very best wishes this and every day. Yes, the same thing. We truly appreciate everything that the bus drivers have done this year. It's been tough, and they have hung in there as well. So thank you. Anyone else?
And I don't know if many people know that our bus drivers work throughout the summer delivering meals to our students, which is above and beyond what they normally do, so thanks for that.
And then School Nurses Day. It is is recommended that the Board of Education recognize May 5th, 2021 as Miamisburg Schools Nurses Day and express its appreciation for the school nurses' work toward the prevention of disease and the promotion of health and wellness for its students and staff while supporting the educational programs of the district. Same thing to the nurses, thank you, and we know your job has been much harder this year, and we appreciate that so much. Next, we go on to board discussion, and we have quite a few items on the agenda. We're going to start out with Rich Baker. He's going to talk about our HVAC system.
Thanks for giving me a few minutes to come up here and discuss this with you. As you can see from slide 1, we have over 900 heating and air systems within our district, ranging in size anywhere from the size of a tractor trailer. Some of our chillers and air handlers are extremely large, down to some smaller systems. A lot to take care of. Some of the things that our current agreement helps us with is preventive maintenance on all of that equipment. Everything is ran by electronics these days, so there's computer systems running everything, make sure it runs efficiently, and very important to have people that specialize in that to help keep all that going. On our third slide, our preventive maintenance agreement really has assisted us over the last number of years to bring our operating costs from $1.50 per square foot in our buildings down to about $1 per square foot, which has saved us quite a bit of funds in the efficiency of running our systems. It also helps us maximize the life of all of our equipment, keep it running in good condition for a long time. And we have saved over $600,000 in the past 2.5 years with the agreement versus what it would have cost us to do the same work without the agreement. It's very important, obviously, to be able to keep all this stuff running very well. Most of the time when we have an issue with the equipment, with all of the alarms and the controls we have set up on them, we know that there's a problem and can get out there and work on it and get it back up and running properly before people even get in the buildings. Questions? Awesome, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Yeah, thank you. Is
We
there any
don't know
way
enough
that
to ask
my
questions,
screen
Rich.
can be turned on? Okay. And then next we have the social emotional learning update, and Clarissa Fulkerson from the ESC, and I'm not sure where Jackie is from. Jackie Renegado?
Yeah,
Okay. Are you also from the ESC?
yeah, I'll be happy to introduce them so that you know who we have here as guests. As you know, we have dedicated some of our student wellness and success funds for bringing a social emotional learning consultant into the district here in Miamisburg. And so we wanted to provide you with an update of the work that they have done. So we are fortunate that we have 3 representatives from the Social Emotional Learning Division at Montgomery County ESC with us this evening. We have Jessica Davies, who is the director of the SEL division. We have Jackie Renegado, who is a social emotional learning supervisor. And we also have Clarissa Fulkerson, who has integrated beautifully as a support in our staff as a social emotional learning consultant who is assigned to Miamisburg City Schools. So I'm going to turn it over to these ladies to share all of the wonderful things that have been happening over the course of the year.
Well, good evening, President Neese and board members. I'm absolutely terrified to be standing up here. So I tell my teachers, if you feel dysregulated during the day, go ahead and let your kids know. So there you go, I'm dysregulated. I'm not sure whether it's because my bosses are here or whether I'm here in front of you, who knows. So we're just gonna make this work. I'm really excited about the work that we've been doing in Miamisburg, and I'm gonna try to run through this as quickly as possible because I know you have a lot of things on your plate. But I do want to let you know that this is just the tip of the iceberg of the things that we've done in Miamisburg this year. And before I do that, I just want to give you a little bit of background. On the next slide, it's just a reminder of about the time that the SEL division was created for the ESC. Ohio also came out with their whole child framework. And the idea was that we needed to kind of come around the students and not only support them academically, but support them mentally, physically, make sure that they're safe. And so we have developed our program based on what Ohio Department of Education has asked the schools and the school districts to do. So on the next slide, you'll see just a quote from ODE. And the big thing that I wanted to highlight was those special words: healthy, safe, supported, challenged, and engaged. And so the next one gives you an idea of where we're heading. In the past, we focused far on the left-hand side, which was our academics, making sure that our kids were solid and ready for the work world. And then about 5 to 10 years ago, we found out we probably should focus on some behaviors, so we added PBIS to the works. And now, in the last couple of years, it's kind of come to the surface, especially with COVID and everything that's happened, that we need to focus on that wellness piece. So that was my job, to come in and start working with the staff and with the students to be able to help them support their kids, support their families in health and wellness, making sure that they're being taught about social emotional learning, the trauma-informed practices for the teachers, and then also that prevention piece that the ESC provides for Miamisburg. So the next one, where do we get our research from? And our research comes from the National Council for Behavioral Health. It also comes from CASEL, which is our collaboration for academics and social and emotional learning. And on top of that, we have partnered with, the ESC has partnered with Dr. Bruce Perry, and he has done research on the neurosequential model of education, which is basically brain research. And he has taught us a lot about kind of doing a mind shift from just working on academics. And the next slide kind of gives you an idea. The question of, and you're gonna have to go through it because it takes its time, what's wrong with you? And now we're looking at what happened to you and how can we help you? So this is all the wonderful things we've done in Miamisburg this year. We looked and started work with the teachers, because it starts all with the mind shift of changing their ideas and understanding exactly what was going on. So we start with that bottom level, which is the regulate. How do we regulate our students? How do we make sure that they're feeling safe so that they can actually reach academic success? And we cannot do that unless we support them mentally and physically. So we taught teachers some great strategies in their classrooms to help regulate. And then we talked about relating, which is creating those relationships with our students and making sure that we understood them and knew what was going on. And the last thing is talking about that reasoning and how do we actually teach and model SEL in our classroom. So this is all the trauma-informed strategies, or what do we want to call them? Components of a great SEL school. And so I'm going to give you some examples tonight of the things that we've done. Starting with adult SEL, because we know that's where it has to start. We started with some self-care. We did some fun things like bingo, you know, making sure that they were actually doing some things to take care of themselves. Then we also looked at a self-care assessment at the beginning of the school year. All the schools actually did this so that they could understand and really pay attention to taking care of themselves so that they could take care of their students. We also talked about an emergency self-care plan because a lot of times we say, well, we run when we get home, we eat, we take a walk with our dogs, but we don't think about what happens when we're dysregulated at school. And do we have a plan so that we make sure that we take care of ourselves when we're at our schools? So we created this plan and provided it for them so that they could think about how they could take care of themselves in the schools. You just missed one, Katie. That's okay. We'll just leave it there. The one that they just skipped through was just basically some professional development that I provided right before Christmas time. It was called the yin yang of self-compassion. And I actually did this for the superintendent and for the district office as well. Just talking about it's more than just self-care. We also need to know our boundaries and when we need to say yes and when we need to say no. So we did some fun activities with that. This one actually talks about, this is a film study, it's removed. We did this with the bus drivers. And they actually were provided 2 different professional development opportunities this year, one at the beginning of the school year and one during Christmas. Your paraprofessionals were provided with 2 specific trainings for them, as well as your cafeteria staff and your janitors at the beginning of the year got more calm, less chaos. So there are some things that we did specifically for them to support them with SEL. Next one. Got through one. Whew. All right, system-wide understanding of Tier 1 and SEL practices. We did things like this. This is the paraprofessional training, one of the ones we did. We talked specifically about trauma-informed conversations to have with students, what not to say, what to say. And it was really eye-opening. We had a great time just going around the school district and talking and learning things from the paraprofessionals' point of view. So we made sure we focused on them as well. Then we looked at making sure that we were providing different opportunities for teachers throughout the school district. I created lessons, probably at least 2 or 3 a week, that I would just shoot out there and say, hey, check these out, do these things in your classroom, see what happens. I got a lot of responses back of thank you, I really appreciate what you're doing. And the big thing was it was already done for them, so they could just take it and run with it. We also did some things like this. That was our cardio drumming at Mound Elementary. We actually did that all over the school district. Not only did we do that, but we went through and we talked about the why. Why would we do something like this in our classroom? We connected it to the brain, helped them understand how it actually connected to academics as well. And then they took this and brought it to their classrooms. And it was an absolute blast to do. We've done over 40 plus PDs with staff this year. Mostly during their staff meetings, so about 30 to maybe 45 minutes. We made sure it fit so that we could appreciate their time and make sure that we weren't causing any issues with having to get substitutes and things like that, because we didn't have them, right? So then we look at, hopefully it's not going to play again, Dr. Bruce Perry, he tweeted. I was really excited about this. Our article that we sent through the SEL was actually sent to Dr. Perry for him to review about Miamisburg and their cardio drumming. So he is well aware of what we're doing here in this school district. So I'm really excited because we're the only ones. Next, we've got student voice. This one's going to be quick. We started just basics with check-ins. This is an elementary one done at Medlerview. We have a middle school one, which is next, and this is, they've color-coded it so they know which students they need to touch base with. And then the high school also used one, and they were using a Google form to check in with students, especially during remote time when we went from Christmas or from Thanksgiving all the way to February. They were using these to check in with kids, and it was very, very useful. The next one, I think we're going on to safe and supporting learning environments. This is one of my favorite ones. We've created soft starts for the whole school district for the elementary. Kids come in, they can regulate themselves, they can calm down, they get to bring some stuff from home, build Legos, they can draw. The next one is a journal, a young girl, she's journaling. This is just all of a way to get them calm and ready to learn. And I've heard wonderful things from the schools saying this has absolutely been a godsend, that kids are so much more calmer and so much more ready to learn. And then we did things like this, which is Samford Harmony. They set goals in their classroom, and I love this one because the kids got to color their own names, and they pasted it on there as an agreement. So you'll see those all over the schools. The next one is very simply, we started doing circles in the morning, and this is Mrs. Galling's second grade class over at Bauer Elementary. And they do a wonderful job of starting their day off with just talking, making connections, and building relationships with each other. Blah, blah. And then the next, I'm not sure what it is. And this is actually Mrs. Supinger's class over at Mound Elementary, third grade teacher. She was teaching her kids about regulation. And so this is kind of off of that cardio drumming, and they're going to show you how they do hand drumming. Doing that right before they got ready to do an important lesson. So they were connecting their left and their right brain. They were getting themselves set. If you notice the little guy in the green, he's like dancing along. He's one of the ones that can't sit still for very long, so this is really great for him. And they have taken off with it in that class. The next slide is from the high school. They do fun little check-ins like this. How are you feeling today? And which superhero do you feel like? And it kind of gauges a gauge as far as readiness to learn and what they need to do to take care of their kids. The next one is SEL instruction. This is another one that I love to do. The first picture is me teaching in the classroom. That's my favorite part. I don't just work with teachers, I actually go in and teach classes. I've been able to teach about 150 lessons this year on top of everything else I've been doing. But I get in there and I teach about the brain, and you'll notice their little hands. When I walk into the room, they go like this, because I'm teaching about the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain and how the information goes back and forth. So every time I walk into a room, they're like, oh yeah! So they know who I am, right? The next one, I can't remember what it is. Oh, this is from, which school is it? Oh, Jane Chance. One of the teachers over there did a lesson. She asked me to help her with the lesson on Van Gogh and their emotions, and about the fact that he struggled with emotions and that he used art to control and help him deal with the things that were going on. So we did that, and then there's our drumming kids. We can skip that one real fast. This is actually 8th grade. They did a unity poster. They talked about being unified and working together, and then they chose their color and put their thumbprints on there too as an agreement that they were going to work together. The next one is from the high school. Oh no, that's 6th grade. This is a great little lesson that I sent out, and the teacher took it, and it was talking about being courageous me, and this really touched my heart because this young lady, her mom was diagnosed with cancer and Parkinson's disease at the same time. And her teacher had absolutely no idea until she did this. And when she sent me the email, she told me, I just cannot believe that I didn't know this about this child. Thank you so much for sending this lesson out. I'm so glad we did it. The next one is from the high school, and this is a good vibes. They took a TED talk that I had sent about positivity, and they posted positive notes, and they can trade them out if they're feeling kind of sad. They can go take one off the board. If they're feeling happy, they can add one to the board, and it's really fantastic. A few more. We're almost there. Supportive discipline. This one's going to be a short one as well. This is my little friend. He struggled with fighting and pushing and getting angry. And so instead of suspending him, I talked to his principal, And he actually came and worked with me on an impulse control lesson, and he went into the classrooms of second and third and first graders and taught them the lesson. And by the time we were done, I think he did it 5 times. The 5th time, he pretty much taught the lesson all on his own. We have had absolutely no referrals from this child for fighting or losing his temper since. So I'm proud of him for that. The next one is a 9th grader in a reassignment room. One of the things we've been working on is reassignment and trying to figure out how we can use that time wisely. And one of the things we talked about in the middle school and high school was the fact that we needed to know more about these kids. So this student is actually filling out a form about what triggers him. We're going to take that information, we're going to provide it to the teachers, and hopefully next year we'll be able to continue to roll with supporting those students better in the middle school and high school. Family and community partnerships, we did some training. With co-regulation, we plan to do more parent training next year, providing that. We did this with Mound Elementary parents, and then Handle with Care is in our school district, which connects us to our firefighters and our police officers, so that if anything happens to our kids, they will let us know so that we can attend to their needs when they get to school. Another one is Dayton Childrens. They've been integral in helping us provide services or connect families to services that they need, whether it's food, whether it's mental health, anything. They help connect and provide those services. The next one is Atomos, of course. They do a lot of funding for us, especially for the SEL, and we're so thankful because most of our prevention programs that we do in Miamisburg School District is funded by them and is absolutely free to Miamisburg, so we're thankful for that. And then we have our Hope Squad, which is part of what we do. That's at the high schools, and it looks like we're going to expand that from 4th grade all the way through 12th grade next year, and that's mentorship, peers, mentoring peers, and helping with that mental health piece of it. So I'm really excited about that as well. And then continuum integrated supports. This one's real short and sweet. It just basically means that we're not only focusing on the tier 2, tier 3 kids, but we're also focusing on all of our students. And these are some of the ways we do that. I've been involved in your PBIS teams, making sure that tier 1 expectations are clear, doing some observations, tier 2, tier 3 support as well, making sure we have those sensory items, and then opportunities to practice that regulation. So we've got one more, and this is really simple. We're taking data. This is all based on data. So we take our panorama survey that we've done. We've been looking at several of the schools have looked at their data and have actually created little mini plans to test out and see what's going on and see if they can help students. For example, Mound was concerned about a sense of belonging. So we're actually creating circles. We're inviting 5th graders to come eat lunch with the principal, and she's going to provide them or kind of ask them questions and find out, why do you not feel like you belong, and what can we do to help you? We've got a whole set of questions ready for that. And we're going to take that information and we're going to do something with it. So it also gives them student voice. So we're using that data to actually do something to help the kids. So those are some of the ways we've done that this year. I think we'll skip the video because it's really short, but here's what's next. And I know it's a lot of things and I'm not going to read through them. These are just ideas that came out of my brain and plans for next year. We're already starting planning next year. I've got PD trainings already on the calendar for next year of ways that principals want to utilize me and help the teachers. So I'm really excited and I'm really proud of everything that your staff has done. They are just absolutely amazing. I am blessed to be here, and I am just so grateful that I get to work with Miamisburg School District. So thank you. Phew.
Add to that we are actually blessed to have Clarissa because she hit the ground running for us at the beginning of the year. She is integrated into our staff. They love her. They're asking for her. They're letting her in their classrooms to observe and to give feedback. And she's been a wonderful addition to us. So we thank you 1,000 times over for what you've done for us.
You're very welcome. It's my
And
pleasure.
this is our success and wellness dollars.
Okay.
That's what we use that for. Thank you.
Are you going to take any questions? I've always got at least one question.
I can take questions.
Yeah.
Ask away.
I wanted to know when you may be coming to teach the board when to say yes and when to say no.
Anytime you want, I got something ready for you.
That's a good question, Dale.
Can I sneak away now?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, and next we have the 2021 to 22 return to school by Dr. Blessing.
Thank you. Well, just kind of there we go. Just a kind of a brief, as Clarissa led into planning for next year, as we wrap up April tomorrow, and kind of have reviewed and discussed how the school year has progressed, which I think it has progressed. We've had some really great in-person learning. I think a lot longer than other schools. So as we start looking into the 21-22 school year, we feel it's time to let our community know that we'd like to attend full-time, full force, invite everyone back, even our at-home learners right now, unless there's some medical issues that we need to be aware of, so that we can start gearing up and letting our families officially know that the 21-22 school year will be in person for everyone all day, every day. So if there's any concerns or any additional items we needed to take into consideration, we definitely want to do that.
And I know it's probably too early to narrow down, but following or not following COVID protocols in regards to mask wearing, I know we're already getting it out in public. My answer simply has been so far is when we cross that bridge closer to June, July, August, we will inform you. That's been my standard answer currently. As far as in the schools, are we going back to where everything was kind of like, I won't say normal, but before COVID, as far as lunches and going to lockers and all that stuff?
I think that is still up for debate. Some of it will depend on, obviously the Montgomery County Health Guidelines and the Ohio Department of Health and even the ODE. And I do know that some schools have, as Calissa shared, some soft starts, some changes with lunch procedures that they felt were beneficial, not even in a COVID year, due to helping kids stay regulated and not being in such close quarters. So I think that will vary depending on as how each school starts planning for next year and their schedules. Okay. So, and I think with the masks, we're going to just, of course, rely on the medical experts guiding us there in terms of the safety protocols.
Okay, thanks.
So, yeah, thank you.
And we will still have a remote option for those if they choose to or not?
Well, only if it's a medical necessity. We really do want to encourage, Stacy we have a partnership with the Montgomery County ESC where they're going to be offering an online learning option in like a learning center. And so our students can attend that in partnership with, and so the teachers will be provided by the ESC, and we'll share they'll provide the teachers, we'll pay for each student. But we really want to encourage our students to be back in person unless there's a need for that. So it'll be a case-by-case basis.
It'll be fun coordinating that starting date for all the kids in the county that's using them, isn't it?
Right, yes, for that online piece, correct, yes. So that'll be their job, and we'll just share that information.
Then we'll go on to the therapy dogs, and Dr. Blessing will
Yeah,
talk
I mean,
about that as well.
Yes, Calissa just set us up. I mean, this is a great extension to kind of that SEL piece and supporting the whole child and even the staff members. I've had a few conversations with some teachers this year, and they are interested in pursuing the ability to have a therapy animal in the classroom. Typically, right now we have a board policy for service animals if a student or staff member would need a service animal. But some districts have started looking at guidelines and adopting board policy that allow therapy animals. So I shared with you a few months ago and then this evening as well, just some guidelines that therapy animals kind of what other schools are doing and how they can be a benefit in the classroom, but also kind of that ownership that the pet owner would have, that therapy dog owner would have. We wouldn't take on any of the liability for that. So in the guidelines that Julia shared with me from our legal advice, she kind of gave some sample language that other schools have had. And basically, we have to make sure that the therapy dogs have some kind of accreditation, whether it's the Therapy Dog International, the Kennel Club, any of those, and of course have to have updated vaccines, immunizations, certificates from the veterinarian. You know, a lot of responsibilities in terms of the animal and the liability coverage as well. And I know with some of the brainstorming that some of the teachers that have reached out, we've talked about partnering with local community sponsors or mini grants or other opportunities to help offset some of those costs of a therapy animal. So we do have a few teachers that are interested and are pursuing the liability insurance to have their therapy animal in a building for different types. The policy outlines they've got to have the purpose, they have to explain what the role of the dog would be and how it would work in the classroom. So I've seen it done other places. I think it's a great opportunity for those teachers that would like to extend that learning. So
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking at board policy and possibly having it on the first reading next month if, once we hear any comments or suggestions that you all may have.
And we're limiting this to dogs, therapy dogs.
This does say dogs, yes. I mean, we would have, probably case-by-case basis, but what I've seen, it's always been a dog, so.
I could see somebody wanting to bring a peacock in.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'd have to ask a certified peacock, yes. So.
Somebody tried to take one on a plane.
That would be interesting. So.
Next, we'll move on to the full-day kindergarten pilot discussion presentation by Amy Jobson.
Good evening. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to share with you. As you know, on the agenda for your consideration this evening is the approval of a full-day kindergarten pilot. And so the purpose of my presentation is really to provide both you and the community some context for this topic, as well as some details related to the initiative. I'd like to start just by providing you some information regarding the scope of this exploration. I don't know if you can go back one. That's okay. There you go. No problem. I wanted to provide for you some information regarding the scope of the exploration of this possible pilot and some of the details that were considered, ranging from enrollment and finances at the district level, some student data. There was also stakeholder input that was gathered in the process. Consideration of program design, staffing, logistics, and timelines, as well as sustainability. So that really is an outline of the details that I'd like to share with you this evening. Specific to district data, the board had begun much earlier this year starting to consider various factors to make sure that the district is in a secure and a stable financial situation. And so the board has been considering and looking at declining enrollment trends, as well as how to be fiscally responsible. And so this initiative really comes from some innovative thinking for educational opportunities. How can we utilize current staff? Taking also into consideration the COVID-19 Learning Recovery Plan that we are responsible for as a district. And then also looking at potential opportunities for increased revenue, both in the short term with a tuition-based program, as well as in the long term, dependent on how the school funding formula actually plays out. In terms of our student data, one piece of data that we've looked at is the kindergarten readiness data. This is actually data that is based on Ohio's early learning and development standards. So this is really taking into consideration all of the things children are expected to know and to be able to do and to learn as they're developing from birth through kindergarten entry. So these are all the things that are measured prior to the start of school. And there's actually 4 areas on this assessment: social foundations, mathematics, language and literacy, and physical well-being and motor development are the things that are being measured. And there are varying levels of readiness associated with this test, from demonstrating readiness, which is where we'd like students to come in, where they are secure in their skills and they are ready for learning what is going to be presented in kindergarten. There's also approaching readiness and then emerging readiness, when children are really lacking some of the skills needed. What our district data shows us in the Miamisburg City Schools in our community here, I've outlined for you our average, the average number of students that come to us demonstrating proficiency or readiness for kindergarten. On average, if you take that data and average that out over the last, 6 years, on average, about 55% of the children in our community come to kindergarten demonstrating readiness. Another piece of data that is informing this initiative really connects back to the Learning Recovery Plan when we consider the one of the outcomes or consequences associated with this pandemic. As a result, 27% of children did not attend preschool who otherwise would have in this current school year. So not only do we have our, what our data is in a typical year, this year, additionally layered on top of that will be a missed preschool opportunities for our children as a result of the pandemic. We have taken into consideration input from stakeholders that included both parents and teachers. We did survey parents who will have kindergarten children in the immediate next school year, as well as in future school years. And so we were really targeting that input to families of who will have kindergarten children in our school district in the next few years. We also gathered data from teachers, specifically in that preschool to 3rd grade range, where they are supporting our preschool children and their transition through 3rd grade, where our primary elementary teachers have a hyper awareness of the 3rd grade guarantee and all of the requirements associated with that, and the real need to make sure that we're providing early interventions. The data from both of those surveys really indicate a strong interest from both our community or parents, future kindergartners, and our teachers having an interest in a full day kindergarten opportunity for our children. When we are considering a pilot, some of the factors associated with the design would be the intent that it would be a full kindergarten school day, Monday through Friday. There was a time in our community where we had some full day, every other day kind of scenarios, and so I felt like this would be important for both you and for the community to know that in the pilot, the intention would be that there would be Monday through Friday full day kindergarten opportunities for children. In terms of our class makeups, we intend to have up to 23 students per class, and really want to be intentional that we are grouping those students heterogeneously so that we have children who are at-risk learners, who have the benefit of learning from their peers, who have had varied experiences and opportunities, and can model some really creative thinking and problem solving in a kindergarten classroom. We also want to be intentional about the staffing of this. As you know, as I referenced previously, this is an effort to creatively utilize current staff that we have for some really innovative programming for our children in our community. And so our intention is to utilize our current teachers for this pilot program. Should you approve this initiative this evening, the intention would be to post those positions tomorrow. We have that posting ready, and would be prepared to put that out for an internal posting for our teachers to consider. We will also then conduct interviews, and our intention would be that we would have our teachers selected for this program no later than the end of May, but we anticipate that we could get that done much more quickly than that, but no later than the end of May in that process. We also, I have also been intentional to consider the professional support that will be needed for a successful pilot for a full-day kindergarten program. I have actually been in communication with the ESC, and they are going to be able to partner with us to be able to provide some professional development for our teachers. Now, we are, when we're looking to staff this, we're going to be looking for penguins, to tap into our learning together from strategic planning. We're going to be looking for penguins who are going to be out there, who are going to have a sense of what those best practices are, who are going to have be really tuned in to what's developmentally appropriate, and also be thinking through a whole child lens, as Clarissa referenced previously. But we also want to be able to provide some support in an ongoing fashion throughout the course of the year. Logistically, and in terms of timelines, as it relates for our parents, we will be prepared should you approve the pilot this evening. We have an application that is created and ready to be distributed, and would open up an application window throughout the month of May, so from May 1st to May 28th. It would be conditional. Families would only be able to apply provided they have completed the kindergarten enrollment process in the district. And we already have approximately 200 students who have already enrolled in kindergarten. And we, thanks to our online registration process this year and the work of Katie's department, specifically Mary Ann Lawson and her work to put that into place, we do have contact information and a way to easily email all of those families to let them know that this is now an option that they can apply for. But the application would be a requirement, of course, as well. Our intention would be to provide confirmation to families by the end of June. And as a part of that, our desire is to make every effort to accommodate the interested families in this program. That being said, we also want to ensure that we have manageable and appropriate teacher-student ratios. And so we may need to employ a lottery system, but we are going to employ some yes and thinking and some creative problem solving to be able to accommodate families who are interested in this full-day kindergarten pilot. This will be a tuition-based program, as I referenced earlier. There will be tuition that will be due quarterly throughout next school year. The total tuition cost will be $3,000, which would be a $750 per quarter tuition payment. I think it's important to note that it is our desire to have an inclusive program for even our most vulnerable and economically disadvantaged families in our community. And so if families qualify based on an application, the free and reduced meal application, if they are eligible for free or reduced meals, then they would have no cost for tuition. Their tuition would be waived. Just a logistic, anticipating some questions that parents may have. Those payments would be made in elementary schools or potentially via pay schools. I know that our treasurer's office is working to see if they can make that happen. That is a potential, not a for sure, but potentially that could be an option for our families as well, and a convenience for them in that process. The final slide relates to sustainability. So, we are engaging in what I'm asking you to consider, I should say, is engaging in a pilot. You know, the intention of a pilot is that you start small, do it well, so that it can hopefully be replicated based on data that is both academic data, student data, as well as stakeholder data and input from families and teachers in terms of how the pilot has gone. The hope would be that as we are engaged in our strategic planning process, a full-day kindergarten initiative could be a part of the discussion so that we can establish if this is something that we want to hold as a pillar for our community to continue to provide for the children in Miamisburg City Schools. And so those things paired with enrollment trends and staffing will of course be factors for consideration as it relates to sustainability. And then of course school funding, which we are waiting to see how that could potentially foster the continuation of a program like a full-day kindergarten, translating into a broader program that could be provided for all of our children in the community and optimally with no tuition charges. But that is looking long-term and some of these sustainability factors.
Okay. I got a couple questions.
Sure.
23 students
Uh-huh,
per teacher, correct?
correct. Ideally, we would like to
Is
have
that-
one
that
class per
seems-
building.
If memory serves me correctly, and I left all my stuff at home, did I not understand or not comprehend right where, was it K through 2 maybe? It was one teacher per 20? And then,
That is the threshold for the intra-district transfer.
okay,
So that relates to so you are remembering that as a ratio that is out there
Yeah.
that we have talked about in the last several months. It is related to the intra-district transfer. The 23 relates to class size payout. So we want to be intentional that we don't increase costs with this program as it relates to class sizes.
ballpark me what a normal kindergarten classroom size is now.
I think that that's close to average in some of our buildings. Now, we do have some buildings that are smaller, but you may recall that one of the things that the board has asked us to do in looking at staffing for next year and looking is to look for more equitable class sizes across the district. And so that, in that process, that is how we have extra staff members to be able to pilot this program, is to look at more equitable class sizes throughout the district.
You guys were all in the classroom. 23 is a good number.
It's
To me-
manageable.
To me, that just seems maybe 3 too high. I'm just thinking to myself out loud to everybody here. But that's just me talking. But we have current staff, correct? What about, would there have to be aides? Or is there a need for aid, a teacher aide within that classroom?
The way our instructional assistants are designated now, and Katie can speak to this more specifically, or Steve, but the way they are assigned now is based on student need. So there may be instructional assistants that would be assigned to a kindergarten classroom.
Depending on the need of the student.
Depending on the need of the children in the classroom.
Correct, okay. All right, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, and I was talking to Amy about this. This would be a good time for staff and principals to kind of ramp up some volunteers to help in those classrooms. I think, that would be a good support if there are any parents out there that are willing to lend a helping hand. So,
And Amy, we're trying to plan to have one in every building, a pilot in every building, correct?
That is correct.
And I was the principal at Kinder when we had all day, every day.
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic experience for those students, and I'm glad to see that we're trying to bring some of that back, even if it can't be for every kindergarten this year. At least we're attempting to do something.
And we have room. because as soon as you say classroom, I think of Bauer Elementary. I know they are, you can barely seal the box sometimes.
There is space, and I have I've involved principals in the conversation and asked them that question: if we have this opportunity, do you have space? And every one of them would be happy to find space within their buildings to be able to provide this programming for children.
What type of testing are they going to have for qualifying to be able to enter kindergarten, and then will we continue to test first graders too then?
Let me make sure I'm understanding your question. Do you mean for the full-day kindergarten pilot specifically, or for kindergarten in general?
Just kindergarten, period. I would assume that they would have a qualification for both of them. But
No, there are no required academic screenings for kindergarten. In fact, it's prohibited if kids are age appropriate. We're required to bring them into and to welcome them to kindergarten, regardless of what their academic skills that are demonstrated. Which is why one of the things that we do within the first couple of weeks of school is our universal screening process, beginning even in kindergarten.
okay, that answered my question.
Yes.
Because I was going along. I was piggybacking on what Chris said about qualifying. I guess for an aide, I should have
Okay.
took that a little further. Because I hate to be a teacher that you're 9 weeks into a school year and we could have been helping a child or two all along that needed it, and we weren't aware of it because we didn't have any type of testing or qualifications done for them.
Yeah, we have our universal screening process for all children in our elementary schools in the first 2 to 3 weeks, and teachers have that data to use in their planning for interventions, and they use that in their data meetings with their principals to plan for interventions.
Okay.
So if some of those students' parents don't put in the application, but they are in the half-day kindergarten and they take that test, and they are low, and the teacher has observations that the kids are low, will there be an opportunity for those kids to move to the all-day classroom or leave some spots
There
open?
will. We, as I referenced, an interest in having heterogeneous classes, we are going to preserve space for children who demonstrate a need, who may not have had an application submitted on their behalf. And those recommendations will be facilitated by teams, meaning principals and kindergarten teachers in collaboration with parents to provide those opportunities.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that how it was going to be initially. I didn't know what was happening now that everyone could apply. Okay, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have a lot more ESL students and so forth now than we ever have had, obviously.
Yeah, we're so fortunate that we have a very diverse student body.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. That was awesome.
I think it's great because I know that in Ohio, we know that the low-income learners are as much as 2 years behind when they come to kindergarten, and it's just a great opportunity to help close that gap for those kids so they can be lifelong learners. I think that's one thing that really had our board hooked. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we'll move on to the adoption revision of the board policy. The recommended action, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve policy KGB, public conduct on district policy. Do I have a motion?
Move for the approval and adoption revision of the board policy KC, is it KG or KC?
G.
KGB. Hey, I'm getting old, guys. I don't have my glasses. Come on. But public conduct on district policy. I
Second.
do.
Okay. All right. First by Toadvine and second by Amsler. And did you want to talk about that, Mr. Holman?
It's what talked about last month in terms of as we went through the revision of the board policy back in 18, we found some things that have been missing that were in our handbooks before, but not correlating back to the board policy. So this is the exact same thing that we've had for many years, and it's the same thing that's been in the handbooks for a long time that referred to board policy, but now it's going to be a continuous circle.
Well, if it's in the handbook, it should be policy.
Yeah.
Only makes sense.
Yeah, as we went through it with OSBA in 2018, we had a couple different consultants as we went through, and some things got dropped and some things got added. So as we've been coming across, we've been cleaning them up to get them all back on track. So.
All right, roll call?
Mrs. Angel?
Yes,
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes?
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
All right, next we move on to the approval revision of the 2022-23 calendar. The recommended action, the superintendent recommends that the Board of Education adopt the revised 2022-23 school year calendar as attached. Do I have a motion?
I move for the approval revision of the 2022-2023 calendar.
Second.
All right, first by Lewis, second by Toadvine. Any discussion or questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
In regards to Mr. Lewis.
You're the one that wants to get home.
I
early.
know, I need to get out of here.
Done anything.
But I have a question. Is it the fall break that we have done? We've usually have done that after the first 9 weeks, correct? So I noticed it today when I was looking, and I'm like, well, and then I forgot to ask before the meeting. But we have noticeably done that in between first and second quarter, correct?
Historically, we have, but the last several years, it's kind of where we get the days in and where they match. And to be honest, we try to look around athletic schedules too, to help be accommodating to those families in both athletics and the fine arts that travel, to kind of give them an opportunity to be able to go if they're able to go somewhere too. So, and plus too, we really try to watch home events during that time, because that is a revenue service or a revenue stream for our athletics to be able to look at that. And so we try to match all those different things and juggle them. And
Okay.
so, and it's not uncommon now, especially when you start looking at spring break and depending where you're trying to get the grades in or the days in, that it hasn't always ended at the end of a semester. So.
I guess I just kind of looked at it, and I know because of soccer and football and volleyball and everything else that revolves around the sports, and I get that. I kind of put my Sharon hat on for a second in regards to testing, whatever the case may be. You get to that 8th week, you take a week off, and then you come back, and when you come back, well, you're going to have a final this week. Well, trust me, when I go to fall break, I'm not doing anything school related. So that's where I kind of was looking at it in regards to the academic portion, not at that
Right.
as the athletic portion.
Kind of going back to what we talked about last month and with the calendar committee of looking to get, now that we've kind of gotten through this COVID and tried to push things back and be able to put some of those PD days that we had in to get prepped for COVID and those transitions, that goal is to get back to where we were before and hopefully to be ending, that semester at winter break. And so we've had the discussions with them as we start, planning for next year. Now we're getting back into the normalcy of where we are, taking some of those days that we had for PD and putting those back in as student days within the classroom and pushing that calendar up. So
but they're not in this calendar,
they are not in this calendar.
and that's my concern, because we're still only having students there 170 days.
Yep.
And that's less than half the year, and our students need to be there. And Mr. Young, that's something that the legislature has done. They have gone to hours instead of days, so now kids are in school less, so I'll just put that in your ear.
So, yeah, and from the discussions we had from the previous board
Right.
meetings, that, you know, I told you I'd go back and talk to the committee, and we did, and they know that is the direction that the Board of Education would like to see, and those seeds have been planted, and I already have my notes in my calendar committee stuff for the next one, but, yeah, they understood the concern, so.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right, roll call?
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
No,
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes. Okay, next we'll move on to the consent agenda. The first thing is the approval of the overnight extended student trips. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following overnight extended student trips. Barbara Gorlaski will chaperone the Miamisburg Middle School 8th grade DC trip, Washington, D.C., May 10th through the 13th, 2022. Next, we have approval of out-of-state travel. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve out-of-state travel. Barbara Gorlaski, Miamisburg Middle School 8th grade DC trip, Washington, D.C., May 10th through the 13th, 2022. Was that twice? Okay.
Yeah.
Seems like I read the same thing twice.
You did.
Well,
It
was
is
that-
on there twice.
It's on there twice, yeah. Okay, C, approval of elementary and middle school fees. Sorry. It is recommended that the Board of Education establish elementary and middle school fees for the 2021-22 school year as follows. No increase from last year. Kindergarten through grade 5, $30. Grade 6 through 8, $35. Spanish, $25. French, $33. Next, we have approval of full-day kindergarten pilot program for school year 2021-22. The superintendent recommends approval of a full-day kindergarten pilot program for the school year 2021-22. Next, we have approval of full-day kindergarten tuition rate. The superintendent recommends approval of a tuition rate for full-day kindergarten of $3,000 for the 21-22 school year for students who do not qualify for the free and reduced lunch program. Next is the approval of tuition-free senior enrollment. It is recommended by the superintendent and high school principal that the Board of Education approves Ainsley Burlingame for tuition-free enrollment for her senior year. This permission is only granted to a 12th grade student who previously attended Miamisburg High School as a resident pupil during the 11th grade year. Next, we have the approval of class of 2021 early graduates. Michael Black, principal of Miamisburg High School, has recommended Selenia Rose I'm not sure how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. For graduation pending satisfactory completion of all state and local requirements. All right, do I have a motion for all of the items on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda items A through G.
Second?
All right, first by Angel and second by Amsler. Any questions, discussion? All right, roll call?
My goodness. Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to the Human Resources agenda items. The approval of resolution, personnel classified extracurricular employment. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Whereas the following extracurricular positions have been offered to those employees of the district who are licensed individuals and no such employee qualified to fill the position have accepted it, and whereas the school district has then advertised the position as available to any licensed individual who is qualified to fill it and who is not employed by the board, and no such person has applied for and accepted the position, now therefore be it resolved that under the provisions of ORC, Ohio Revised Code 331353, the following positions are declared available to non-certificated persons who meet standards adopted by the state board and may be filled for a period of not more than 1 school year at the same salary wage offered to certificated persons for the People Activity Program as indicated. Cheer head coach split, 1/2 fall, 1/2 winter, $2,470. Cheer varsity assistant split, 1/2 fall, 1/2 winter, $1,749. Cheer head coach split, 1/2 fall, 1/2 winter, $2,697. Cheer varsity assistant split, 1/2 fall, 1/2 winter, $1,910. Producer musical spring play, $1,750. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the resolution for personnel certificated and extracurricular.
Second.
What's that? Lewis?
Yes.
Okay. All right. First by Angel, second by Lewis. Any discussion, questions? All right, roll call.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Abstain.
Mrs. Angel.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we move on to the approval of personnel reports, certificated, classified. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel reports. Employment in the Miamisburg City School District is contingent upon the candidate submitting to and passing a BCII and FBI criminal record check in accordance with Ohio Revised Code and pre-employment drug screening in accordance with adopted board policies.
I move for the approval of personnel reports certificated and classified.
Second.
Okay, first by Amsler, second by Toadvine. Any discussion, questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel.
Yes.
Okay, next, approval of personnel report, supplemental stipend, certificated, classified. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel report, supplemental stipend, certificated, classified. Employment in the Miamisburg City School District is contingent upon the candidate submitting to and passing a BCII and FBI criminal record check in accordance with Ohio Revised Code and pre-employment drug screening in accordance with adopted board policies. Do I have a motion?
I'll move for the approval of the personnel report, supplemental stipend, certificated and classified.
Second.
Okay, first by Lewis, second by Angel. Any discussion, questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler.
Abstain.
All right. Next, we go on to the approval of substitute teacher pay rate increase. The superintendent and treasurer, CFO, recommend that the Miamisburg City School District Board of Education approve an increase in the per diem rate of pay for daily substitute teachers from $85 to $105 effective July 1st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll move for the approval of substitute teacher pay rate increase.
Second?
Okay, so first by Lewis, second by Amsler. Any discussion?
I would say, first of all, I'd like to say thanks to you. I know this has been a conversation that we've had for a month or so, whether we could do it now or have to wait until some other funds and clearing things up. But I am truly 100% excited for our subs. This gets us not only from the parking lot, but gets us on the playing field for next year, and I think that's going to be huge when every school district comes back to full capacity. So I know there's going to be some, looks like there may be some nuances as far as subs for next year and trainings and things of that nature maybe that we might want to talk about, but I want to say thanks to you, and I know this is a big relief to our subs, and I know everything has a trickle effect when there's additional money being sent out, but I think this is a huge 21-year step in the right direction, and I couldn't be happier, so congratulations.
Yeah, like Chris said, the last time the pay was raised was at a board meeting in December 1999. You know, and I know Mrs. Hageman did the research for us. She checked out the daily rates in the different districts in Montgomery County, and she found out that they ranged from $90 per day up to $125 per day, with the average being $110 a day. So she did that research for us, and we're at 105 now. And I think that's a step to show that it's an action step to show that we do appreciate our substitute teachers, and then it also helps us keep competitive. And I want to thank Tina for getting those figures all down so that we did it in a way that was responsible, and for doing all that research as well. And I think, you know, we just really appreciate the substitutes coming in to relieve our teachers so they can go to professional development, you know, which ultimately helps our students, and to be there when teachers are sick and when they have to take care of their kids. So I think it's, you know, it's an exciting time. It's a good thing. All right. Anything else? Okay. Well, then roll call.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
I abstain.
Mr. Amsler.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, next is the approval of contract for occupational therapist. It is recommended by the superintendent that Michelle Fraley be awarded a 2-year, 195-day administrative contract with Miamisburg City Schools effective August 1st, 2021. Michelle Fraley will hold the position of occupational therapist on the administrative salary schedule, salary placement, administrative salary schedule, file GEB R1. Do I have a motion?
I move for the approval of the occupational therapist.
Second?
Okay, so first by Angel, second by Amsler. Did you want to talk about this, Katie? Mrs. Sorry.
Discussions about, what we're doing fiscally and responsibly. One of the things we attempted to do was move from contracted occupational therapy services to our own occupational therapists. And we managed to find, and there's a second contract on here, through our interview process, we were able to find two very, very experienced, very good candidates to be able to bring onto the district as our own occupational therapists that will help us to reduce our contracted services that we have through Warren County ESC for this position. So we're excited to bring both Michelle and Melissa on board. They both have quite a few years of experience and have a great reputation in their field. So we're really excited to be able to find them and be able to bring them on board with us.
Okay, good.
And will the two be able to handle the workload? We won't have to do anything with the ESC?
No. So we currently have two already in district. This will be an additional two, but the need we still will have a need for a 1.4 with Warren County, and unfortunately they were the only two really qualified candidates that we received. We had a few others that had absolutely no experience in the school setting at all. And then we tried on the PT side, but unfortunately there's been a shift in the PT world in which they now get their doctorate instead of their master's. So that prices them way out of our range. And the only other candidate that I had their doctorate, and we couldn't touch it. So we will continue to contract with Warren County for PT services, and then we do have a 1.4 right now, looking at our numbers, and then we'll reassess obviously at the end of the year to see whether or not that number holds.
Thank you.
If you get an opportunity, would you mind emailing me the salary? Just
Yep, we can do that.
Roll call?
Mr. Amsler,
Yes?
Mr. Lewis,
Yes?
Mr. Toadvine,
yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel.
Yes.
Okay, next we move on to the approval of contract for occupational therapists. It is recommended by the superintendent that Marissa Hatton be awarded a 2-year, 195-day administrative contract with Miamisburg City Schools effective August 1st, 2021. Marissa Hatton will hold the position of occupational therapist on the administrative salary schedule. Salary placement, administrative salary schedule, file, GEB R1. Do I have a motion?
I'll move for the approval of contract for occupational therapist.
Second?
Okay, first by Lewis and second by Amsler. Pretty much the same thing we just talked about, so
Yep.
roll call?
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes?
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have the approval of employment of an administrator, the high school assistant principal. It is recommended by the superintendent that Jeremy Saylor is awarded a 3-year, 220-day administrative contract with Miamisburg City Schools effective August 1st, 2021 through July 31st, 2024. Jeremy Saylor will assume the role of Miamisburg High School assistant principal on the administrative salary schedule. Salary placement, administrative salary schedule, file GEB R1. Do I have a motion?
I'll move for the approval of employment of administrator, Miamisburg High School Assistant Principal, Mr. Jeremy Saylor.
A second.
Okay. First by Amsler and second by Lewis.
Jeremy, I think you'll do a wonderful job at the high school. I think you and Mr. Black will do fabulous things up there. I know your work ethic. I know where you've come from. I know how hard you work, and I know how dedicated you are. So I have zero reservations of you going to the high school, and I'm actually really excited for you. You seem to be following the steps of another individual that's sitting there with a mask on as you go through the ranks. So Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations, Jeremy.
That's not necessarily a move up, trust me, Jeremy. No, I have to say this. I know my daughter thinks the world of you. She said a lot of nice things about you, and she's pretty disappointed that you're moving on, but she gets it.
All right, roll call?
Mrs. Angel?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Okay. Agreements and contracts. Approval of settlement agreement with Teamsters Local Union 957. It is recommended by the superintendent and the treasurer, CFO, that the Miamisburg City School Board of Education approve the attached settlement agreement. Do I have a motion?
I'll move for the approval of settlement agreement with Teamsters Local Union 957.
I'll second.
Okay. First by Lewis and second by Angel. And Dr. Blessing, did you want to talk about this? Or?
I mean, just real
Okay.
brief, and Tina can chime in. We
Okay.
kind of did a new kind of procedure instead of going through the grievance steps. And then if there wasn't a resolution, we would move on to arbitration. We utilize mediation, which is a free service. And so we had a neutral party just kind of listen to where both sides were coming from in their interpretation. And we felt it was a kind of a worthy process, and we're able to come to some type of agreement. So that is, and Tina can add more since it was really more her department, but.
No, I think that pretty much sums it.
So, okay. All right. Any questions or concerns? All right, roll call.
Lewis? Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
It's getting late. Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mrs. Angel?
Yes.
All right, next we move on to the approval of the master service agreement with Meta Solutions. It is recommended by the superintendent and the treasurer, CFO, that a general service agreement with Meta Solutions be approved effective July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. The core services schedule 1 fees for fiscal year 22 will be $16.75 per pupil. Services include student information services support, Infinite Campus, Power School, and Progress Book, including Gradebook and Virtual Classroom, EMIS support, MS support, fiscal support for state software, and membership to Meta's Purchasing Cooperative. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the master service agreement with Meta Solutions.
I'll second.
Okay. First by Angel and second by Lewis, and I should have said EMIS support, that's right. Okay. Any questions or concerns? Okay.
I don't.
Roll call then?
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mrs. Angel?
Yes.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to approval of reciprocal service fee agreement with Meta Solutions. It is recommended by the superintendent and treasurer, CFO, that a general service agreement with Meta Solutions be approved effective July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. Meta will provide the services at a cost of $26,701. Do I have a motion?
I'll move for the approval of reciprocal service fee agreement with Meta Solutions effective July 1, 2021.
Second.
Okay, first by Lewis, second by Toadvine. Questions, discussion?
It's basically a procedural thing, correct?
Yes, these are the services we have every year.
Yeah.
They keep us running. As far as financial software, EMIS, all our reporting requirements, they're pretty much our help desk and our support. So, they're very important to us. We need them, and usually, when we need them, it's not usually a good thing. But we try to, they help us with everything from student grades to getting payroll out. So, yeah, so it's an annual contract that we have with them.
I'm good.
All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes.
I don't know what that little part is there, but with that increase of 6,000, I don't, okay, yeah, I don't know what that's there for. Okay, approval of Martin School Travel Agreement. It is recommended by the Superintendent, Assistant Superintendent, Director of Human Resources, and Treasurer, CFO, to enter into agreement with Martin School Travel for the Miamisburg Middle School trip to Washington, D.C. in May 2022. Do I have a motion?
I'll move for the approval of the Martin School Travel Agreement.
Second.
Okay, first by Amsler, second by Lewis. It's nice to see that they'll get to go back to Washington, D.C. That's exciting.
Absolutely.
Any questions or concerns? Okay, roll call?
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes.
Next, we'll go on to the approval of the Montgomery County Educational Service Center Agreement for 2021-22. The Superintendent and Treasurer, CFO, recommend that the Miamisburg City School District Board of Education approve the attached agreement for the Montgomery County Educational Service Center, ESC, for the 2021-22 school year. Do I have a motion?
I mean, we approve the Montgomery County Educational Service Center agreement for 21-22.
Second.
Okay, first by Angel, second by Toadvine. Any questions, concerns? I know they certainly offer us a lot with, just like with what went on tonight with the SEL, and that was a lot of cool things going on in our district now because of that.
Also included in that agreement is like our outside placements to community centers.
Yeah, right.
All that by
Yeah, right.
educational evaluations through the county, and also autism coaching team, all of those are on there as well.
Okay,
A variety of services that they have.
great. Roll call?
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes.
Okay, awarding of the mechanical preventative maintenance agreement. It is recommended by the superintendent, treasurer, CFO, and the director of business services that the mechanical services price proposal agreement be awarded to Wable Energy Systems. The agreement will be for a total of 3 years beginning July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024. The total 3-year amount of the agreement is $917,852. Do I have a motion?
I move for the awarding of the Mechanical Prevention Maintenance Agreement.
Second.
First by Amsler, second by Lewis. Anyone? Did you want to say anything, Mr. Gilbert? Okay. 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 All right then. Roll call then.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes. All right, next, the approval of agreement with Montgomery County Learn to Earn. The superintendent and treasurer, CFO, recommend approval of the attached agreement with Montgomery County Learn to Earn. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the agreement with Montgomery County Learn to Earn.
I'll second.
Okay, first by Angel, second by Lewis. Any discussion, questions?
This is
Do
just
you
an
wanna
update.
talk about
I mean,
it?
we have been partnering with Dayton learned in the past. It's just an update
Yep.
on the resolution and
Yeah.
continue to utilize their great services to help our students and our graduates. So.
Yeah, I love Learn to Earn. It's a great addition to the ESC, for sure. All right, any other concerns? All right, roll call then.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mrs. Angel?
Yes,
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
All right. Approval of transfers, school fees waived. The Treasurer CFO recommends the Board of Education approve the following transfers. These transfers are for school fees waived during March through March 2021. All transfers are made in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 570514. Uniform school supplies Bauer in the amount of $150. Uniform school supplies Bear, $30. Uniform school supplies Kinder, $270. Uniform school supplies Jane Chance, $90. Uniform school supplies Mark Twain, $240. Uniform school supplies Mound, $240. Uniform school supplies Medlar, $30. Uniform school supplies Miamisburg Middle School, $1,020. Uniform school supplies High School, $5,983.84. Class fees High School, $8. Class fees High School, $22. Class fees High School, $22. Class fees High School, $46, for a total of $8,151.84. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the transfers for school fees be waived.
Second.
First by Toadvine, second by Lewis.
I don't really have anything to add. I mean, we do this every quarter, and I provided you with the charts of where we are currently compared to where we've been in the past. So unless you have any questions.
Nope.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mrs. Angel?
yes,
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Okay. Oops. Sorry. Okay, next, authorization for amendment to the appropriations and certificate of estimated resources. It is recommended by the Treasurer CFO that the appropriations and certificate of estimated resources be amended as listed in the attached reports. Do I have a motion?
I move we authorize the amendment to the appropriations and certificate of estimated resources.
Second.
All right, first by Angel, second by Amsler. Right.
As we do every month, anytime there's a change in our revenue projections and/or budget, I ask for your approval. And so I provided you with a summary of each. And hopefully, part of that is, we've got a $140,000 increase in our revenue projections, so that's a good thing. And we're looking at $128,000 increase in our budget. So we're still coming out a little bit ahead. So just need your approval so that we can forward that on to the Montgomery County Auditor's Office.
Everybody okay? All right, roll call.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes,
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes.
Okay, next we have the acceptance of donations. It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following list of donations. All monies will be used through each school's 018 account unless indicated otherwise. $2,600 from Miamisburg High School Band Boosters, Percussion Instructor Stipend. The following donations were made to the Mark Twain Elementary School Garden Project. $100 from Kathleen and James Casper, $150 from the Miamisburg American Legion Ladies Auxiliary. The following donations were made to the Miamisburg City School District for the Community Connections Program. $100 from Jerry and Margaret Blevins, 4 $25 Target gift cards from Lisa Esselstein. All right, do I have a motion?
I move we accept the donations.
Second.
First by Amsler and second by Lewis. Thank you so much for all those donations. Every little bit helps. Anybody else? Anything to, yeah. How's that garden going at Mark Twain? Good. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. That's cool. All right, roll call?
Mrs. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Okay, we're getting close. I mean, I know it's almost 8 o'clock. And they keep giving
We
me
may
the
lose a
hairy
couple
eyeball.
board
These
members.
guys do.
Quit talking
Okay.
about it.
So anyway, our first report would be from our famous Joe Isakovich that we've missed greatly.
Our very
Thanks
own
for
Walter
coming back,
Cronkite.
Joe.
Yeah,
45
for our
seconds.
Miami Valley Career Technology Center.
Just for your benefit, I've got 15 pages, and I'm going to be utilizing a slow southern drawl. Good evening. Senior recognition. Based on latest guidelines, we are going to be holding our senior recognition on May the 16th. We'll have 2 sessions, 1 o'clock to 2:30 and 5 o'clock to 6:30 due to cleaning regulations in between. And I have the honor of addressing the students at both sessions. Basically, MVCTC Computer Coding and Web Applications team advanced for the 3rd year to the NASA Hunch Program Finals. And John Lai, or Kian Kong Lai, John as he is known, from Miamisburg participated. And as he stated, it was exhausting but exciting to work with NASA on such an ambitious project. We had to brave uncharted territory and come back with a polished project. And basically, they'll be meeting with the NASA engineers and the astronauts to discuss it, so it's quite an honor. Also, MVCTC graphic commercial arts students were named to the top 300 in the Ohio Governor's Youth Art Exhibition. And congratulations to Lauren Arthur, graphic commercial art junior from Miamisburg, for her graphite self-portrait. Also, Natural Resource Management Ohio FFA competition results, and the National Resource Senior Student from Miamisburg, Sydney Cole, participated in a project, Plant System Sciences category, with the project The Impact of Temperature on Mushroom Growth. Interesting. I thought you'd like that, Chris. Also, quite an honor, National Technical Honor Society induction ceremony was held on Sunday, March 21st. We had a record 175 inductees, 7 of which were from Miamisburg. Cassandra Carnevale, Criminal Justice Class of 2021. Chloe Heine, Culinary Arts Class of 2021. Aiden Hauk, Computer Networking and Cybersecurity Class of 2021. Jessica Langford, Veterinary Science Class of 2021. John Lai, I spoke of earlier, Computer Coding and Web Applications Class of 2021. Nathan McDaniel, Pre-Nursing Class of 2021. And Haley Shaw, Criminal Justice Class of 2021. All from Miamisburg, and quite an honor, just as We honor here the National Honor Society. The National Technical Honor Society is quite an honor for our students. Also, the annual All Ohio United States Armed Forces Career Commitment Celebration. And we had a student from Miamisburg, Zach Statzler, who is in our welding program. He's a senior, and he is committed to join the United States Navy. Along with that, we had our prom very successfully. The junior class was on Friday, April 9th, and the senior class was on Saturday, April 10th. Our prom courts, the FFA junior court included Anja Hubers from Miamisburg. Our Skills USA Chapter 2 junior court included Savannah Campbell from Miamisburg. And in the seniors, the HOSA senior court included Nathan McDaniels from Miamisburg. And the Skills USA Chapter senior court included Cassandra Carnevale from Miamisburg. And finally, the Miami Valley Career Technology Center Business Professionals of America qualified at the recent virtual state BPA contest. And Lacey Baker from Miamisburg was elected as a BPA officer for the state of Ohio. So that's all I've got. Any questions or comments, Chris, specifically?
I will make the comment that welcome back. We've missed you.
Well, thank you. It's good to be back. I missed interaction and giving Dale grief.
I appreciate that.
Anytime he spoke about students that he had and having their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, you know, it just confirmed you're old as dirt. So it's good to be back. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Dr.
Thanks, Joe.
Dr. Blessing said good evening almost as well as you say it. That's for sure.
I tried.
Yeah. All right, next we go to the legislative liaison, Sharon Angel.
And because Tom Young has been so kind to sit through our whole meeting, and he's the expert, I'm going to ask him to fill us in on what's going on at the House right now. If you don't mind.
I'll make this brief on Chris's part too. We sent a pro forma out on the new school funding bill, and there's hearings that are taking place in the Senate this week. And you'll get a presentation on that, correct, soon. I would say that my questions that I've always said and shared with the board chairman is that I wanted the formula to be student-focused, taxpayer-friendly, and sustainable. And it's better than anything we've ever had in 24 years. It gets us at least to a platform where we can have an intellectual discussion, financial discussion over it. I believe it's clear and concise, and it'll be phased in over a 6-year period, so it gives us an opportunity to, which I've stressed over and over again, that we want to do dynamic scoring of this bill in different economic models. And so hopefully, with my request to the speaker and others, that we'll be able to get that software to get it done, just not on this particular situation, but many that we do, so we don't encounter unintended consequences, which we have recently, even with the passing of House Bill 170 and Senate Bill 111, with just small language changes, can cause a backup of funding decisions. So they're getting clarified, and that's going to be very quick. So that's it. Any questions you always have, I enjoy coming to the meetings. It's important to hear what you're doing. It's very exciting, and I do take it seriously. And some of the things you're doing, especially with the behavioral SEL. It's pretty extraordinary. I would say that no one is doing this, and they say that it's costly and preventative, but I look for return on investment. And again, we'll be able to score that. The innovation of doing all-day kindergarten, it's pretty phenomenal what you all are doing, because I go to every school board meeting that there is, and so I get very excited to hear this. So that's what I had.
Thank you.
Do you have any
Thank you.
questions?
Thank you.
Well, you need to spread it around that we have a really good thing going here in Miamisburg.
I do that. And so I get, every time there's anything related to curriculum, I keep it, I share it with my colleagues. And so I truly want to get away from accountability testing. I think that we may have some headway with that. At least in the legislature, we can push harder. We can't do anything about the federal government, but if we get back to formative approach to education, where there's more collaboration, we educate these teachers and put pressure on them to be the best, and then we say, do the test. It just doesn't make sense to me, and we've come a long way. It's a different world, and we intend on pushing that as much as possible. So,
They are doing something, Tom, aren't
I'm
they,
sorry.
they're doing something too about the state report card.
we are, as I've said here many times, it's repugnant to me, and talk about unintended consequences. We teach our children to not be bullies, and but to me, and I've shared it many times, that the unintended consequence of that grade card is it bullies school districts. So you want success out of children no matter what school district they go to. And so if they succeed, I don't want children to say to other children and teachers or whatever, and I've heard these comments, well, you go to that school, it's an F. And that's not appropriate. And it has to stop. I do encourage everyone here, and I say this as I speak to groups, we need to bring more civility into this world so that we're not so divided and argumentative on every single aspect of every single thing we do every day. We are better than that. So we need to set the bar higher from that aspect. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you. All right, next we have the Student Achievement Liaison, Christopher Amsler, and he's also going to read the district news and information.
All right. Along with our Student of the Month, Miss Chandler Hoskins, we also want to recognize other students within our district at Bauer Elementary School, Ariana Isaacs, from Bear Elementary School, Ella Pratt, Jane Chance Elementary School, Jerry Jewell, Kinder Elementary School, Cooper Van Winkle, Mark Twain Elementary School, Gage Pranat, I got that right? Medlerview Elementary School, Owen Childrens, Mound Elementary School, Thomas Romero, and from the Miamisburg Middle School, Adrian Kovacs. So congratulations to all of our students of the month, and Miss Chandler Hoskins as well. So on our district news, the latest Making a Difference honorees include Janet Crawford, Miamisburg Middle School Special Education Assistant, Andrea Haddix, Miamisburg Middle School Intervention Specialist, Colleen Butcher, Bear Administrative Assistant, and Courtney Christie, Bear Teacher. Bauer Kinder ESL Teacher, Tricia Deck. All the nominations, Janet Crawford, Andrea Haddix, Colleen Butcher, Courtney Christie, and Tricia Deck, can read more about that at the MiamisburgCitySchools.org. So congratulations to all of our Making a Difference honorees this month. Finally, April signing day saw 4 more Miamisburg High School athletes commit their next level of academic and athletic careers. In college is Cameron Brooks will be attending Center College Division III for softball. Spencer Harger will be attending Bluffton University Division III for football. Claire Scully will be attending Wilmington University Division III for softball. And Kyle Tooker will be going to Wittenberg University Division III for lacrosse. So congratulations to all of them as well.
Okay, thanks, Chris. And then next we go to the Montgomery County Drug-Free Coalition liaison, Tim Lewis.
Montgomery County Drug-Free Coalition did not meet this month. They'll meet again next month, so I have nothing.
Okay, and Chris did the district news and information already, so we are ready to adjourn.
And then we
Oh,
adjourn.
or around the, we have to go around the table, I
around the
forgot.
room.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
okay.
forgot.
Yeah, I did too. You just did really want to.
I'm trying to get those boys out of here.
Want to start with down there?
I'll let you guys talk tonight.
Oh, okay, so Mr. Lewis then? Okay.
I do have something. Can I take this down just to do this? Do this. I just want to take a minute to thank all of our building principals for keeping everything together all year, especially this year. At the high school, Michael Black, Teresa Greenlee, Adam Frank. Middle school, Kelly Thomas, Summer Mastronardi, Eric Linsky, Maddox Lang, Supervisor Sarah Busick. At Bauer, Tammy Sunderman. At Bear, Shannon Rupert, Jane Chance, Dale Geyer, Kinder, Jeremy Saylor, Mark Twain, Kelly Lee Marker, Medlerview, Susan Woods, and at Mound, Rebecca Huber. It's a trying year. Takes special people going out of their way to keep everything together and keep education going through our schools as you have. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Well, I will refer to you and say ditto. And I think I've talked to Jeremy and Miss Marker. Welcome back as well. So it's good to have people in the audience tonight.
Yeah.
So many people in the audience tonight. So with that, I will move forward.
Yeah, all I really needed to, I wanted just to congratulations to the nutrition services, and Scott told us about this, for receiving the award from the Children's Hunger Alliance for maximizing access to school meals and meeting student nutritional needs. And it was only awarded to 13 districts out of 100. So that's very admirable. Congratulations.
I'll just say thanks again, Scott. Congratulations on your award, and give Michelle Reed our congratulations too. That's it.
I don't have much, but as, we're talking about the school funding initiative that's going on right now, House Bill 110. So thank you to the House for passing that, but now it sits in the Senate, and that's where it died last year. So I'm hoping that it doesn't, but I would ask the board, if you need talking points, please let me know. We certainly want to do our best to reach out to Niraj and ask for his support and get that passed. We need our kids counted. If you want to continue initiatives like all-day kindergarten, you know, right now we're only getting paid for our kids that were enrolled in fiscal year 19 because everything is frozen. And if we do all-day kindergarten, those kiddos, as Katie likes to call them, will only be counted as half. So even though they're in school all day, they will still only count as half unless we get a new funding formula in place. And so we are doing great things in Miamisburg, but in order to keep that happening, we need to, you know, either increase enrollment or, reduce expenditures or increase revenues. And we would hate to, during this very difficult time, ask our voters for more money. So anything we can do to keep that ball rolling, reach out to Niraj. And again, if you need talking points, please let me know and I will email you a list.
I would like to say that the numbers used in the formula they're using are 2018.
18 and 20,
And so,
right? Yeah.
18 and 20. So, there's some maneuvering that has to be done, but you're right to make sure that people are aware of that.
Yeah. If you'll just send us those talking points, that would be great.
Yes, I will certainly do that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Mr. Holman?
I would just say ditto on everything. And then to all of our award recipients tonight for the Student of the Month. Thank you, Mr. Young, for coming down. Scott, congratulations, and Michelle too as well. So it's a very nice honor to see all the recognitions tonight. And like Tina said, all the good things that are happening in the community. I was at too in Miamisburg this area, kind of sitting back. It's like, wow, we are really doing a lot.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in it every day, sometimes you don't see the full picture. So thank you to everyone.
Dr. Blessing?
Two things. Earlier this month, we recognized the Franklin B. Walter recipients throughout Montgomery County. And congratulations to ours, Malika Desai. And her teacher of influence was Mr. Jared Lovin. And I believe he was the teacher of influence last year as well. And shout out to Mr. Freeze in the back for his wonderful video skills because it was all virtual. So he recorded that presentation for us. And also I attended the College Credit Plus graduation at Sinclair University last evening and got to hear about our students that have already earned associate's degrees and they haven't even planned our graduation in 2 months. So that's exciting to see all the great work our students are doing. So that's it.
Anyone else out there? Mrs. Lucas? Mrs. Dobson? Mrs. Moore? Jeremy? Joe? All right. Scott? All right. Well, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Wait a minute,
Roll
was
call.
that Mr. Toadvine that seconded?
Yeah, Tovine seconded.
Okay, sorry, we're at 8:16.
Oh, and we don't have
So
to do
roll call, Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Amsler.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Have a nice evening.